Student attack just steps from the police station in Blagoevgrad. How safe are students off campus?
Looking at official statistics, the town is safe.
Prices are climbing across Bulgaria, and students say even campus food is no longer affordable. How is inflation hitting everyday life?
There was an increase, substantial one.
Bulgaria heads into another election, with new concerns over vote manipulation. Are ethnic minorities really shaping the outcome, or is that the wrong question to ask?
Въпросът е кой седи зад тези процеси и кой трябва да бъде отговорен.
And later, football for a cause. How one game is helping children with special needs.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the second episode of our independent student-led media. News made for students, by students. I am DeWired.
And I am Desisłava Sabeva. Stay tuned because DeWired starts right now.
We start this episode on a financial topic.
With the prices going up globally and nationally, how is this affecting students and the local community? According to the National Statistical Institute, annual inflation in Bulgaria reached 3.3% in February 2026. But surveys show people feel it's much higher with perceived inflation above 50%. Overall, prices have gone up by more than 40% since 2021.
We took a closer look at the cost on campus, especially in the canteen, where many say the impact is clear. For example, a portion of lasagna now costs 4.40 euros, up from 5 leva just 3 months ago. Canteen management declined to share detailed pricing data, but acknowledged the increase. They say prices have been kept stable since 2021, but that's no longer sustainable. They point to higher food and energy costs, rising gas prices linked to conflict in the Middle East, and broader economic pressure, including Bulgaria's transition to the euro.
So, how are prices changing everyday choices and purchasing decisions? We asked students and locals.
I mean, we're talking about food and drinks, and at the end of the day, you have to eat.
In the past couple of months, I became more conscious with takeaway. I try to save more because there was an increase, substantial one.
From my experience here in Blago, the prices have changed during the years, probably because of the inflation and probably because of the change from leva to euro.
И в продукти за храна, и в услугите, и в строителните материали, навсякъде увеличението е с 30, 40 до 50%.
Some things have increased, yes, but I'd say for the most part, a lot of the goods that I personally buy have remained relatively affordable.
When I'm buying stuff like that, I'm just gonna go and buy it because I have to buy it.
I make some equations to see if my budget is enough to buy what I want.
Когато поскъпва суровината, крайната цена е същата, няма как да стане.
I feel way more cost efficient in a way than 3 months ago.
Even in the canteen with the switch to euros, prices have elevated a little bit.
Може би малко по-прилежно следя промоциите.
Can 300 cameras and a new reporting website truly keep students in Blagoevgrad safe? After another violent attack right near the police station, one student is speaking out about the reality of off-campus safety in our community. And DeWired is asking the mayor whether the local authorities are doing all they can to provide safety to the students in the city.
Around 2 a.m. on a Thursday night in February, Silvio and two of his friends were coming back from a party when they heard a comment.
Oh, are we speaking in English in Bulgaria? And such comments like that. And then I get attacked from the back as I'm walking. I get a kick on the side of my face. And then I think it's one of the others that grabs me by my hair and throws me on the floor essentially.
Silvio's nose was broken. They called an ambulance and the police took initial testimonies. Silvio says the police investigation ended there. Today I met with the mayor to find out whether Silvio's case is an isolated incident or a common occurrence.
Looking at official statistics, the town is safe. I'm not saying that accidents don't happen at all, but in general, I would recommend them just to relax, because we are a safe town.
Mayor Metodi Baikushev stated the town has invested in surveillance and a new reporting system.
I have more than 100 CCTV points in Blagoevgrad with approximately 300 cameras. The primary reason for that is security. This is surveillance system that's being used by the police, especially when there are accidents.
Yet, the violence against Silvio wasn't recorded on camera, though it happened in a central location.
It's extremely important to submit signals. We have elaborated a brand new platform that's called Signalin.
Signalin.blagoevgrad.bg is a website where people can report dangerous spots in the city. This said, Silvio's case was reported to the police.
They came to visit me in the hospital and ask what happened, but they didn't keep any contact with me afterwards. Nothing else happened after.
While officials say they are addressing safety concerns, students are left with a simple message from the mayor: end nights early and stick to well-lit boulevards. For DeWired, this is Janina Ormanova reporting.
According to the Blagoevgrad police, a preliminary trial is still underway for the latest attack. In the statement to DeWired, the local law enforcement confirmed that 2 young men were arrested for 24 hours immediately after the accident. They are now being prosecuted.
Bulgaria is heading into yet another election for the 8th time in 5 years, and again amid growing concerns about voter manipulation. But what's fact and what's stereotype? Is the vote really decided by ethnic minorities? DeWired takes a closer look at the data to find the answers.
Масовия ром не гласува. Него не го интересува политика, понеже той е загубил надежда.
Yet there is a widespread public perception that the Roma vote is entirely manipulated. We decided to look at the data. This map shows the concentration of the ethnic minorities in the country. The Roma community mainly lives in northwestern Bulgaria and near Sliven. On the election map, this is clearly a GERB region.
Със сигурност го има стереотипа, може би е верен, че ГЕРБ зависят от ромските гласове.
Let's check. Ivan Lutskanov is the person behind Zemljevesh, a data-driven media startup. His graph here shows that GERB actually does not rely on any specific ethnic groups in any given community.
Ако съдим за това само по корелацията между резултата им по общини и дела на ромски етнос по общини, няма такава.
Mikhail Mishev and other Roma activists have been trying to say that for years.
Моя личен анализ показва, че гласовете в голяма степен се дублират, нали? Препокриват се с масовия глас на национално ниво.
So, how about the Turkish population, concentrated in southeast and northeast Bulgaria? Here, the correlation is stronger. The more Turks in a given town, the more likely they are to vote for APS, the party of long-standing Turkish leader Ahmet Dugan, but not as much for the new DPS of Delan Peevski. Jan Hussein is from Asenovrad.
Самия град е горе-долу 50 на 50 като население от мюсюлмани и християни.
He shares that in every election he's had personal experience with people trying to buy his vote.
Дали ще бъде с пари, дали ще бъде с храна, дали ще бъде с някоя друга нападка.
Both Jan and Mishu agree that the bigger issue for the minorities comes after the elections. Regardless of who these people vote for, nobody actually represents their needs in the parliament.
Със сигурност има обещания, които не са изпълнени, дори едно от обещанията не е спазено.
Въпросът е кой седи зад тези процеси и кой трябва да бъде отговорен. Разбирате колко смешно звучи да твърдим, че хората от ромските квартали сами си вадят парите от джобовете, за да си купуват гласове. От това нещо имат изгода партиите и политиците. Те имат нужда да препознават вътрешен враг, за да могат да мобилизират подкрепа. И най-лесният вътрешен враг това бяха ромите.
For DeWired, Georgi Stoyanov and Nevin Bushnakova reporting.
With the elections fast approaching, here is an invitation from all of us here at DeWired. We will be covering the voting in Blagoevgrad, and we would like to make this an open invitation to any JMC student who wants to join us. See the link in the description and join us for a live coverage experience on campus. Follow our breaking news updates through the day, April 19th, on our Instagram and here on YouTube. But before all this, don't forget to vote. It can change a thing or two.
2 months after a tragic case of student suicide in Nova Mahala, the investigation is still looking into the reasons behind it. At the end of January, 18-year-old Bilgin Alishev ended his life. The Ministry of Education has now concluded that the reason is a personal conflict between him and his high school English teacher, which grew into systematic verbal aggression. Witnesses tell the investigation that everyone in the school, from teachers to students, knew about it, yet no written complaints were ever filed. Our reporter, Maria Christova, takes a closer look into what's behind this one incident. Maria, is this an isolated case, or does it point to a deeper pattern in the Bulgarian school system?
And this is exactly the question experts are after. According to the National Network of Children, this is clearly not an isolated case. And current students at AUBG, coming from the Bulgarian school system, confirm that.
I vividly remember a boy from my class who had his fingernails painted. That same teacher came up to him and in front of the entire class said out loud, "If I see this," referring to the painted nails on a boy, ever again, there will be very dire consequences.
How it looks like is like some backhanded comments, most likely like some passive aggressiveness or some basically insults that are marked as jokes.
She was comparing me a lot with other students, and she was saying, "Oh, look at this person, how they did it."
Maria Bresnichka from the National Network for Children says oftentimes in Bulgarian schools, abuse is followed by silence.
The most alarming thing is when everybody knows, but no one acts.
Many complaints have been written about him for similar situations, but no action was taken whatsoever.
And this is where experts see the main problem. When a child looks for help and nothing happens, the result can be tragic, as in the case of Nova Mahala.
There should be a culture of trust and a culture that does not allow silence.
The solution is also for schools to look on prevention rather than sanctions, and training teachers to resolve conflicts in their classroom.
They don't really care about that, and they mostly care about if the job is done or if the material is learned.
In an open letter to the Ministry of Education, the National Network for Children states that currently schools prioritize their reputation over the well-being of their students, and that is a direct threat to their mental health. The last information about children's suicide in Bulgaria is from 2023. According to the Ministry of Healthcare, there were 185 attempts, and 8 of them with a tragic end. Dido, back to you.
Thank you. Our reporter, Maria Christova, provides an in-depth look in the Bulgarian school system. Feel free to share your experience in the comments.
Football legends returned to Blagoevgrad recently, and more than just a match. The event was organized by AUBG students united by a cause that goes far beyond football. Our reporter, Vasil Paskov, has the story.
"14-year-old Vyara, who has Down syndrome, opened a charity match between the veterans of Pirin Blagoevgrad and CSK Sofia. She is one of the many children the event aimed to support.
Те им казват слънчевите деца, но тя е повече от слънчево дете. Още от детската ясла, любовта, която тя имаше там, детската градина, децата, учителите, никога не са я деляли, че тя е нещо различно, защото тя не е болна.
But that is not the case for every child.
На площадката почти не мога да срещна такива деца. Родителите притесняват ли се? Какво е? Нямам представа.
The charity match was organized by AUBG Olympics and the Griffins in order to support the Sunny Kids Foundation in building the largest center in Bulgaria for children with Down syndrome and other special needs.
There's so many great people here together. I think that the word that describes everything is emotional.
I think that the cause is beyond noble, just because we're so occupied by our hectic everyday life that we have, and we tend to neglect what actually matters.
All these people contributed to collecting a little over 7,600 euros for the center.
Така с този център, като се адаптират децата, надявам се самите родители, защото казах ви, много хора не могат го приемат.
The Legends of Pirin won the game 3-1. But the real victory happened outside of the football field, where kids like Viara, as well as her mom, can find support and care. For DeWired, this is Vasil Paskov reporting.
And with that, we will wrap up this episode of DeWired, news made by students for students.
Follow us on Instagram at DeWired AUBG. We will bring you more daily updates there, including our first ever election coverage live on April 19th.
Thank you for supporting our work with your time and attention.
And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and consider dropping us a comment down below. Thank you, and stay tuned for next month's election episode.